Hello everybody and welcome back to Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson, and today we are out in the garden here at Crystal Cottage, the area called the Botanical Garden, and behind me I have a plant bed just here where I planted Hylotelephium, and they are a kind of succulent plant, otherwise known as the ice plant or the love plant and things like that. I'm not really sure the common names. Hylotelephium. As you see, it's coming up beautifully here and it's getting its flower heads on, and then it will have lovely, beautiful pink, big pink flat flower heads that come out all over the top, and these will be full of insects. The butterflies, the bees, the flies, hoverflies, every single thing. Beetles love these flowers, but they come out later in the season, and I'm just feeling in the middle of summer here. It's the beginning of August, and this border is just devoid of colour, and I'm just waiting for the flowers to come out later, and that's not really working for me. So I need to fill out this border with different kind of plants that get flowers at different times in the season. So I'm thinking this plant really does need to be in bright direct light. That's what it likes. So I'm going to plant the bunch of those that are all the way around the border together in this side of the bed. And then I have another bush that I have bought a lot of examples of because I want it to bush out very quickly to grow out on the other side. Now, growing anything underneath a spruce tree like this Norway spruce that I have growing in the middle, I absolutely love it. I'm keeping it trimmed in at the edges so it doesn't grow too far out, and I will be topping it at the end of this season this year because I don't want it getting any higher. I want it to be a lovely big statement bush. It sucks up all of the water, so it's very difficult for other plants to grow underneath it, but luckily it's close to our courtyard garden, the house and the annex, where I have a hose and I can come out and water this bed very easily, even though I haven't been doing that. This Hylotelephium underneath has been growing quite fine. So I've bought another plant that I think is very hardy, that is a perennial bush that comes back every year and gets lovely pink flowers on it as well, that are already out now and actually are starting to go over. So I know I get an earlier period with these flowers before this pink bunch come out afterwards, and I might find some other things that I can plot in around and about as well, because I don't just want it to be one or two types of plants. I want it to be a few different things, so there's something going on all the time. So let me show you the plant I got while I was out raiding the rack this time. And this is the plant I got while I was out there. This is Spiraea japonica Sapho, and look at those beautiful pink flowers it has on it right now. Most of them are spent, some are just starting to come out, and I can see from the long stem on this one plant here that it will bush out very long and thick, and I'll be able to trim it back and keep it in shape. But I wanted something that will be able to grow up in a height that will fill out the gap underneath the spruce tree. I don't want to skirt lift the spruce tree anymore because I really want that bush. And I want plants that will grow up around the trunk of the Norway spruce. So these are going to be absolutely beautiful. The insects love these as well. As soon as I brought these home, butterflies were landing on them. So I'll just bring one in so you can get a closer look. There you go. These are a very common garden plant, and they have these lovely pink flowers you can see. These are quite dark pink. I do have this with a lighter pink colour, and I also have this plant with white flowers. But I really wanted the pop of pink around the bottom here to carry on together with the Hylotelephium. And also I have the beautiful, I think you can see at the bottom of our Crystal Cottage there, in the two borders over there, we have Geranium Rozanne, which flowers all the way till first frost and is an absolutely beautiful plant. That purple will look beautiful with the pinks that will come up in this border here. So just to show that this plant will easily bush out, look at this stem. Now these plants aren't looking their best at the moment, but I actually bought some looking exactly the same way a year ago, and they flushed out and bushed out absolutely beautiful this year with beautiful new leaves and lovely fresh flowers. I'm going to show you one of the pink ones I have in another border in a picture right here, so you can see how lovely and fresh all the leaves on that plant look and how lovely the flowers are. So that's what these are going to get like in a big bush behind me. So now I'm just going to put all those plants on the side here so we can see what I'm going to be working with. Then I'm going to take out the Hylotelephium. Not a very good time to do this because they're coming into flower, so I'm going to be disturbing them. But I don't have the patience. I have things to do now. And I'm sure this plant is going to be fine because I'm going to take it out with its complete root ball. I won't be disturbing that. So they probably will be okay and they're going to get a good watering after everything. So basically, as you can see here, I will take all those plants out, fill up with much more soil, and I will make sure that I put something around the bottom trunk of my Norway spruce so that it doesn't get smothered. You don't want to smother the base of a tree because they could die from that. So I will keep the soil a little bit away from the tree trunk. But I want to put more soil in this to elevate it much more. I want to put some rocks in there to give it some architectural feel about it so it looks more interesting. And then cram in as many plants as I can to get this looking much more greener. So let's get on with this. So first of all, I need to move my beautiful little ceramic pot I have here. Look at this beautiful pot. Isn't that gorgeous? And it's full of this lovely succulent here that turns an absolutely deep red colour when it is hot and dry in the baking sun. And then when it gets watered, it starts turning more green as it is now. And then it can turn completely green. And it gets these lovely white flowers all over, as you can see. And this is evergreen here in winter, all winter here in Sweden. So because it's in this ceramic pot, I do take it into the annex and let it overwinter in there so the pot doesn't break. But other than that, I have this plant out and it survives snow, frost, minus 15 degrees and so forth. That's 15 degrees Celsius. And they absolutely do wonderfully. Come back every year so I don't have to really repot. And if I do, I just have to add a little bit more and it spreads out and it looks gorgeous. So we move that first. And let's get these plants out of this border. And I'm just going to put them straight down on the floor in front where we can see them. As I said, leaving as much as their root ball with them as possible so that I can plant them back without them really knowing that they've been moved. And I can see this border is bone dry. So this tree is sucking up every last bit of moisture. And these plants have still been doing fine. So I'll quickly just get a couple more of these plants out. So one thing you'll notice with these is the plants that were at the back that were shaded out most of the time by the Norway spruce, as well as being dry, have grown very little. They're very short and stubby, got flowers on, so they're going to be beautiful, but they haven't grown very much. The other plants at the front are much bigger. They're in full sun all day long. The sun comes up in the east, goes round south, goes down west, and they're in the sun all day like they like. So this really shows this plant needs to be on the sunny side. So I will group them all together here where they're going to get the sun and they're going to look beautiful. Now for the other side. So look at this plant. So much taller, so much bigger, and that's because it was in direct sun all the time. Another one at the back, much smaller, much thinner. And then this one. This one was at the front with the maximum sunlight, much thicker, much taller. Beautiful specimen, look at that. Flowers of pink coming out soon. They're going to look better when they're all bunched together close as well. And succulent type plants like to be close together, so I think that's going to help them out as well. So that's all the plants out. I do have some stonecrop that I had growing in there, but I'm not going to worry about all that. I'm not going to disturb this soil much more because I have all the roots from the Norway spruce coming up in it, so I don't want that to get upset either. So I'm going to fill up the bed with a fresh, natural, organic compost soil. So it's full of nutrients and goodness to give all of these plants a great big boost, because they need that. As I said, this Norway spruce is sucking out everything. So I will be able to, after I finish with all this, water and on a more regular basis, go in and fertilize the plants in the bed so that they all have a chance of getting the goodness they need. So basically, I'm going to cut to fast forward, and then I'm going to have to call the cavalry again, my husband Joachim, to help me move some rocks into the bed as well, because I want some interest and I love rocks. So this time, around the base of the tree, where nothing much can grow, I want to put a few nice rocks. I'm going to put some ordinary bricks around the bottom of the trunk of my Norway spruce to give some space between it and the soil that's going to be coming up around the edge. And also when I water, it will kind of make a little well so that I know the water's going directly down to the tree. And also by doing this, they can be removed or moved around as the tree expands its trunk. So I'll just quickly get all these sacks of soil into place so that this border looks fresh and healthy and new, ready to replant, and I just can't wait to see what all this is going to look like in a moment. So it's going pretty well. Decent amount of extra good soil in there. I just need to smooth it around a little bit, and then I'm ready to start finding some rocks to put in before I start putting the plants back. I think that's starting to look pretty okay. So now that is all the soil in the bed. Now we are going to go and collect the rocks, and I've managed to get Joachim out to help me here. So I better get on while I have this short time span of extra muscles. So for the first weightlifting workout. So that's the first large rock in place. And it looks really good from the front side, from our courtyard garden where we sit in the sun in the evenings. So that side needs to be looking really nice. And I think we'll have one or two more large and then a few small ones dotted around to give it some character in here. And then I'll place all the plants back in, and it is going to be one big bush. As I said, I'm cramming them in. I want this tight look, mature look very quickly. So, as you can see, we have 3 large rocks in the middle now, which has elevated the center of the bed where plants can't really grow so well. And now I can just plot all the other plants in around, and then see wherever there are any kind of spaces or gaps, I can put smaller rocks in amongst the plants there, which will help to keep the moisture in the soil. And that's what those big rocks are doing at the bottom of the Norway spruce as well. They're for decoration and to hold moisture. So the plants will have a much higher rate of success. And also another good thing about it is insects bury themselves in and make nests. For example, ants, they make tunnels and nests under these rocks, which makes air passages all the way down in through the soil, which helps the root systems of the plants as well. So you're encouraging the insects into the border even more. That is such a perfect way for the whole garden to get natural nutrients and airflow and water to be able to flow around and all sorts of things going on. Perfect. Let's get on with the planting. First, I'm going to plant the Hylotelephium. First up, I need to plant the higher plants at the back and the lower plants at the front so that they can start catching up. First, I need to dig a hole and then place my first plant in. First plant in, and it just looks so good. Oh, I'm just really enjoying doing this at the moment. Number 2. So I'm just going to get all the rest of the plants in place here, and you can see how it's elevating the look of this border straight away. Wonderful. So that's many of these Hylotelephium in place. I have one more left, which is the taller one. I'm going to cram it in at the front, at the bottom down here. And then this side is complete with the plants, and I'm going to fill in with rocks all around in between them to give it more character. I think this is starting to look good. So the last one, this is so exciting. There we go. That is just looking so much more elevated and much more fun already. Now I can't wait to get the Spiraea, japonica, Sapho planted around on the other side to give us a completely different view from the courtyard garden compared to this side in the botanical garden view. So let's get on with the Spiraea japonica Sapho. Oh, this colour is going to look gorgeous here. So I'll start by collecting all the plants and then digging a hole, put the first one in and then carry on with the rest. And this is just going to look beautiful and full up in no time. I am just loving the look of this already. It's so much more fuller, so much more elevated. I can't wait to get the last plants in, give it a good watering, and then find some lovely small rocks to put around in all those gaps. And another one. So, last one. This one's lovely and moist. Almost done. And voila! Isn't this already looking like $1 million? This beautiful Spiraea japonica Sapho on the whole of this side of the border, and on the back side the Hylotelephium that will come up with its pink flowers after these have probably finished flowering here. This is just going to be a bush of lovely pink flowers for a longer period now. Look how those lovely rocks at the back accentuate in height in the middle of the border where nothing can really grow under the Norway spruce. And now I just want to give it all a quick spray off and a good old watering before I find more rocks to place in between. It's always just so satisfying when you get to see the fruits of your labour. Washing all this off and watching it start to shine is just fabulous. So now it's all hosed off, well watered in, all clean and tidy. And I am just so happy with this transformation. And I know now, with every season that goes, these plants are going to bush out even more until you won't be able to see much soil, and I will have that wonderful effect I want. Green all summer, flowering plants that look absolutely beautiful while we sit here in our courtyard garden area, and rocks to look at with that wonderful calming energy they give you when you just sit and look at the rocks around the bottom and in the middle. It's just amazing. Rocks are so good for you as well as the plants. Gardens and crystals, people, remember? And then look over by the side there, you can see the Hydrangea, arborescens, Annabelle, looking beautiful, and then the red dogwood coming up by the side. And I did say I was going to show you one of these Spiraea japonica that I have already, that's a little bit more fresh, that I planted last year. It's in the flower bed just next door, so I might be extending this into that border at some point, or I might move that plant, but actually that is a slightly lighter pink, so it's a different kind of Spiraea. Oh, I'm just loving this. I just want to go out and find a couple more rocks now to fill in the gaps, and then I'll be ready to take you in for a closer look. I've even put my ceramic blue pot back in its place on the side, and it looks just wonderful with that succulent plant in it, with its white flowers. It really is looking gorgeous. So now I have the last rocks to put in, bits and pieces I found that are going to need to be washed off after. I'm still so surprised with the endless supply of rocks we have going on in our garden here at Crystal Cottage. I love it! I just went out into the Garden of New Beginnings and pulled me up these hosta here that I had planted out there that aren't doing very well at all because they are getting eaten to shreds by different insects and mostly slugs out there. So I'm going to try and put them at the back of this border where it's completely dark now and they love the shade, and see if they will flush out better there, because with all the rocks and higher elevation, there aren't as many slugs and things like that in the middle of our garden here as there are in the Garden of New Beginnings on the side of the forest where it's much more wild. So we'll give these a second chance at the back there to fill out that last little gap there. I'm sure these hosta are going to grow into a bush of beautiful ground cover at the back here. So that was all the extra rocks in place and all the hosta that I've placed around the back there where it will be completely shaded, and I hope those plants will have more protection there so that they can flush out and look really beautiful without having all their leaves eaten up by all the insects and slugs and things going on around. And now I have 3 different types of plants in this border already, and I will be placing more of that beautiful Stonecrop that gets yellow flowers all over it in between all the rocks as well, so that we get a lovely covering of different colours. Now, I just want to give this one last spray off, then I am really completely finished with this border here today, and I will be ready to take you in for a closer look. Oh, these plants are just going to be so happy in this spot. So I really hope you enjoyed seeing the close-up of the revamp of my wonderful plant border here, and how you can go in and just fill up with new soil, put some lovely rocks into place, get some lovely new plants and plants that you already have, and just rearrange them, spray it all down, and then you have something wonderful and new to look at that you know is going to grow up, bush out, merge together, and become absolutely beautiful. Plants that get beautiful pink flowers on them and then have lovely leaves on for the rest of the summer. Different tones, different textures, and oh, it all just looks wonderful. And with time, as I said, I'm just going to fill out all the gaps around the edge at the front here with different kind of succulents to give it an extra pop, and have different types of plants that come up with different types of flowers at different times. So, all I have to say now is thank you very much once again for watching Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson. Please remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be uploaded. And I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.